So we have Rey movie, what the new Jedi Order I think is called, with Sharmeen, Obid, Chinoy. So, firstly, I am just kind of going off of after seeing what was happening on here and decided that I wanted to add my 20 cents or whatever. So first I see her on here as the first, and I do apologize, I'm actually waiting outside for the building to open to go in. So I decided to shoot this video real quick. So she's the first Star Wars female director that they're pointing that out. And the first, they're like what was it? Like non-Caucasian first female Star Wars director. Cause I guess the, Obi-Wan director, the woman that was Asian, I guess she doesn't count now when she directed an episode of Obi-Wan, or when they almost had Patty Jenkins. I mean, I guess she doesn't count either. They were going to have her do one too. Let's go with the woman who says that she likes to make men feel uncomfortable. Imagine if a man said that about women. But she was saying things like, I noticed from different interviews like CNN and stuff like that, and where she's saying, it's about time a female leads Star Wars. Cause, Kathleen Kennedy, I guess, isn't a female now. I'm sorry. I misquoted her. I don't think she said lead the female. I think she said shape the future of Star Wars. Once again, still does not change my point that, Kathleen Kennedy is around and has been around for like 10, 11 years. Whether you like it or not, that's not the point. The point is there has been a woman, shaping Star Wars, going for future. But, let's also ignore all the other women, that worked on Star Wars, cause Sharmeen, Obid, Chinoy is the one, right? And, by her own words, she is a storyteller and an activist. Every piece of work that she works on has a piece of her activism in it. And she is guided by her activism. These are her words. So basically, when she makes something, she's not making it to entertain. She's not making it to do something. She's basically making it to tell you off, put you in your place, and realize that we need more people telling us all this junk and preaching to us and being an activist in a Star Wars film. Because, in Star Wars, that's what you want to be. You want to be told that men bad, women awesome, whatever, blah, 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 blah. That's the philosophy she kind of follows. And she even said that whether it's overt or covert, she is basically going to force her activism into whatever she works on. But what I really find interesting, is that she's stating stuff like, when she stated that it's 2024 and women, shape, it's time for a woman to shape the future. And I'm like, really? Really? Cause it's 2024. Remember that ridiculous thing that Jennifer Lawrence said about how she was the first female action star, ever? Ignoring multiple women like Sigourney Weaver and, Princess Leia, she's the first. Red Sonja doesn't exist either, apparently. What about Marcia Lucas? How she got an Oscar for editing Star Wars? George Lucas's ex-wife? Did we forget that? She got a freaking Oscar for it. But no, she doesn't help shape Star Wars. What about Katie Lucas, his daughter, who wrote top tier Clone Wars episodes, and dare I say the best ones. And I'm a person who's not the biggest fan of, I wasn't the biggest fan of Star Wars, the Clone Wars, or the prequels per se, but the Clone Wars cartoon show actually gets better and better over time. And I started to realize she wrote a lot of the episodes that really I thought were some of the most powerful. But, nah. Or how about Lee, who wrote Empire screenplay? A woman who wrote, which was my favorite Star Wars movie until Force Awakens. And yes, I'm one of the people who do not hate all of the Disney trilogy. I think it's all a failure. I know there's people like, oh my goodness. I just don't personally agree. I think some of them are bad. Some of them are good, but I actually love Force Awakens. But prior to that, it was Empire. And when I was a kid, of course, it was Return of the Jedi. But for the longest time, my favorite was Empire Strikes Back. And I still can agree with anyone if they say it's the best of the bunch of all the Star Wars films. That screenplay was written by a woman. All their years before she ever was Sharmeen. But, you know. But thank you to the unschooled, no training activist who never shot a movie like this, chinoy, who has no training in nothing, her own words as well. Please save us, right? Save us from this kind of stuff. Please. Because no woman's ever touched or helped shape Star Wars, even though I just named a bunch. But, you know, these women I named it, like, they made film and TV history. They're history makers. She wrote the screenplay to quite possibly the best Star Wars film ever made. It's a woman. And then don't look at the credits to see how many women worked on the Star Wars throughout this whole time. And also, when I'm watching her interview with Jon Stewart after she blatantly says she likes to make men uncomfortable and like to say she's here and all this other stuff, and then she goes, well, uncomfortability does it so she feels that she has to look into my eyes and make me uncomfortable because I need to change my attitude, or a man needs to change their attitude. And if she wants people like me to look in the mirror and realize that I'm wrong, basically the way she was coming off, just because I'm a man. Now, imagine me telling women, or any guy telling women, you need to think differently because you have wrong think, because you're a woman and I like to make women uncomfortable. And you need to realize that you're wrong whenever you think about me. That sounds very misogynistic, doesn't it? And really messy. Because what she's saying is very misandrist. Remember, all you have to do, if you ever want to see if a statement is messed up, prejudiced, racist, or anything like that, is reverse the statement with the other person or people in mind and see if it sounds off to you. Because there's people who keep celebrating her, saying, yeah, that's right, you tell these men. But if you reverse it, it sounds messed up. And honestly, right there, you got your answer. It's sexist. But these activist creators like Sharmeen seem to not only speak from on high with this no wrong and righteousness, and you insert target person they don't like, whether it's a straight white male or men in general, or all these are, issues in the world is all their fault and their fault alone. It's crazy. Like, I even seen the Forbes thing, because these people, they never listen to what people are actually saying. So it was saying like, what was it, like, upcoming Star Wars film attacked as woke by right-wing critics. It's really weird when I see plenty of women say they don't like this. They don't like what Sharmeen's about to do to Star Wars. People who do not lean right, who identify as left leaning. Some identify as no leaning, me, myself included. I am not right leaning. I am not left leaning. I am independent. But somehow when these people complain, especially men, straight white men or anything like this, it's always, oh, they're alt-right or they lean right and stuff like this. But they ignore everyone else that are black, Latino, Asian, gay, straight, any part of the letter community, any of that. They'll just, and I've had people say this, they'll just be like, oh, ignore them. They're just misguided. No. Just because a person doesn't agree with you or sees that there is an issue that you're not listening to them does not change the fact that they have an actual real opinion. And just because it doesn't agree with you doesn't mean it's wrong, or that means they have a political agenda. So it's kind of one of those things, like when we disagree and, call it out or quote a person's own words, it's nope, it's the opposite of politics, and you're every istaphobe man baby who lives in mommy's basement and demands chips and yoo-hoo. Like, it's always that. It's never, well, maybe they may have a point, or maybe let me hear them out. Maybe I don't agree with them, but I can see where they're coming from. Nope, no, people don't try to do that anymore. See, the problem is that the truth is, These people can't take criticism or their own advice. Your conversations that you have with these people, and her included, aren't about listening or trying to grow or see if they can find a common ground, but waiting to accuse, shame, put words in your mouth, and the meaning to need to be right. An example of this is like in my Doctor Who video, where I explained how a guy said, or how I explained it, and the guy said that I had an issue because trans women and just women in general, even though I clearly explained it was how they were utilized in the man bashing, basically saying that women were better than men with power and everything just because they're a woman, so that just by their genetic disposition, they're better, which is a stupid thing to say. You're not better just because you were born a man or a woman. Or like the people when I said that Ta-Nehisi Coates is not a good writer, comic book writer, and was told that I don't like black people in entertainment, because I guess I'm not black now. And I was even called a Nazi. And I explained my issue with the content and why I didn't like it. But they always going to go responses, hate, enter, gender, race, etc. And funny thing is, I've watched her interviews and not once have I heard her talk about being a Star Wars fan or interested in Star Wars or jumping into this new frontier of Star Wars, or what it means to her to be a fan or to be in this franchise, or what it means for the future per se in the career of the franchise or the stories and the rich things. Nope, just her agenda, and she needs to make sure she overtly or covertly puts it in there in her ideology politics. Pointing out facts and inconsistencies and not liking them doesn't change that it's a fact. It's not an attack. That's just the way it is. Because apparently when people are pointing these out, like, look, she's saying she is all about her agenda. She has no experience. She is not trained to do these movies. She's not a filmmaker like that. She only cares about her agenda. People are like, oh, that's because you have a problem because she's a woman. No, I have a problem with someone that's literally clearly stating they don't give a hot crap about Star Wars, and their whole thing is they just want to push their agenda. That's the facts. That's what she said. So, I guess, yes, bring on more girl bosses and keep shoveling this bad writing Mary Sue powerhouse junk down our throats, because even though Star Wars is, or rather was, targeted towards boys, and no, that doesn't mean a female can't love it or is excluded, so don't even try it. It's targeted towards boys and guys. Sometimes things are just targeted towards them, just like there are things targeted towards females. Like I had a boss whose favorite movie of all time is Dirty Dancing. That is a romance movie that is pushed towards women. But he freaking loves that movie, and he always would quote it and stuff. And his favorite Disney movie is Little Mermaid. And I mean, he had literally a Little Mermaid magnet. Like, he loves Little Mermaid. That's geared towards girls. So yes, just because something is geared towards someone does not mean that they are not allowed to like it, enjoy it, or partake of it. And there's no exclusionary on there. It's just that certain things sometimes has a certain target audience. Something may be geared more towards a certain class of people or a certain type of people. Yet, for example, the movie Parasite, that has some Korean culture in it, but I think that movie's still phenomenal. I enjoyed it too. So I digress. Disney and all these studios keep going and keep flopping until you shut down or get bought out. I mean, that works for me because they did this with Doctor Who and everything. They keep constantly pushing these narrative agendas, and people don't want it, and especially now, because you're not being fair, and it never swings the other way. It's always only one way, and you're not trying to tell a story or entertain. You're not using nuance. You're not using these things. You're trying to say that there's a problem and there's always inequality because, apparently in America and in the Western world, women don't have certain rights that men have, I guess, because there's no equality, right? Me personally, I don't care if it's a man, woman, color, gender, whatever. Just give me the best storyteller and not another DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, type of hire. Thank you. That's my personal thing. But you know what they're going to do? They're going to just blame the audience as follows. Audience, you suck. How she says pretty much men who are going to watch this that she needs to make men uncomfortable, so men suck. Then they're going to drive the message home. The movie's going to be pretty much man bashing 24/7. Then they're going to go to the, why didn't no one watch our movie? Because, you know, you bashed them and everything and they can't stand it. Then, of course, it's going to turn into, you're going to blame us, call us every name because we should have seen the movie, insert because there was a brown-skinned woman or there was a gay person that directed it or wrote it or there was a guy. So it must be misogyny, race, etc. You're everything. And it's funny by saying this, but the movies and the programs flop, then you're basically saying you believe that most of the audience is bad, even if it's a male or a female or the person who identifies the same as the person who did the work. You're saying that they are that thing too. Because you can't sit there and say, oh, the Marvels, for example, failed because men didn't go see the movie. Okay, where were the women at? Why didn't the women go see the movie? It made garbage, even though it was proven that men saw it more than women, but that's the point. Men, you will usually go see the action movies more than the women. But women have to go see it too. The gay community has to see it too. Not just one set of people can keep it all afloat. Anyway, I just want someone who respects the IP and equality, and going this path or down this path, honestly, is just hurting the argument that women can't lead these kind of films. I'm not saying a woman can't. I mean, Wonder Woman was freaking amazing. But the way Hollywood works is something keeps not working. Eventually, they're going to say, oh, it's their fault and not take a self-reflection. And purposefully derailing franchises just so you can get your little agenda in there and make it where it doesn't even follow the content anymore. That does more damage to the cause than you can ever imagine. So I would love to hear what your opinions are. It's the Geek Protagonist. You stay safe, you stay healthy, you stay real, and I'll see ya.